Hey everyone, I'm Tina Swithin, author of Divorcing a Narcissist and founder of One Mom's Battle. And today I want to talk about a really important topic, which is your child's therapist. Before I go into that, I want to state that I'm not an attorney, I'm not a mental health professional, I cannot give you legal advice, so any decisions you make when it comes to your custody case should go through your attorney, because ultimately they are your voice and your advocate in the family court system. But with that said, I am able to share how I have approached my family court case, or the things that I've learned over the years since my case started. When I first put my daughters in therapy when they were, I believe they were about 3 and 5 years old, I had zero strategy when I made that decision. I was truly acting in their best interests because I knew they were going through a lot. They didn't have a toolbox. They weren't able to articulate the things that were happening at their dad's house. And they, I equate kids to little pressure cookers, Instant Pots, where, they don't have the tools, they don't have the life experience to process the adult issues that they are going through. And so I do believe that therapy is so important, but number one, finding the right therapist, which is easier said than done, I know. One of the things that I knew early on when I placed my kids in therapy was that this person doesn't know me. They don't know my ex-husband. I know who he is and I know who I am, but I can't expect them, nor should they, come on board right away and believe my side of the story. And I talk to so many people who have that mentality, who believe that just because they know their ex is toxic, that this therapist should automatically take their word at face value and believe them. And part of this may be a little bit of a wake-up call. That's not reality. If they are truly coming on board and just taking your word at face value, they aren't a very good therapist, I'll tell you that. It is important to find somebody who understands domestic violence so that they come up to speed quickly, or someone who understands narcissistic abuse, but I would question their integrity and ethics if by, the 5th session they were believing every single thing you were telling them. Their job is to remain neutral. I've talked to so many therapists who say, people come into my office and almost, they're jockeying for a position. They want me to believe their side of the story, and that's a red flag for me, and I think it's important to remember that in any therapeutic session, whether it's your therapist or a therapist for your child, their job is to really assess the situation, to, kind of do inventory and listen to the various stories. There are some really disturbing people that go into therapy, and again, they don't know you. They need to weed all of these things out. So going into a therapist and expecting them to get it right away is unrealistic. So much of this battle is learning to manage your expectations. So putting your kids in therapy, fantastic, but be realistic about your motivation, your expectations, what's going to come out of that. A lot of people come to me and they're frustrated that the therapist won't testify on their behalf. There's some reality to the position they're in. When I hired a therapist for my kids, I've never once asked them to come in and testify in court. I truly wanted them to be a sounding board for my children, to give them the tools to help navigate this difficult situation that they were faced with. If they were willing to go to bat for us at some point, great. but would I expect that from them? Absolutely not. And, a lot of times I see when a therapist is subpoenaed into court and does testify on behalf of one party, then it gives the other party room to say she's clearly biased or he's clearly biased towards the other parent based on this testimony. And so now we want to have them removed as the child's therapist and have somebody with a fresh set of eyes. And that does happen. So be realistic about your reasons for therapy and what you expect of the therapist. But knowing what I know now about the family court system and children being in therapy, what I would do in today if my child came home and said, Dad said this or Mom said this, I would first tell my child, you know what, I'm sorry that was said to you. That's really an adult issue and Mom doesn't have all the answers. So let's wait until we see Miss Amber on Wednesday night and let's talk to her about it, because I don't know how to answer that. You don't have to have all the answers. And actually, I think it's a positive thing for kids to see that we're human and we don't have all the answers. And so then on that next counseling session, I would say, Miss Amber, can I have a minute? I'd like to talk to you about something. And I would say, on Tuesday, little Susie came home and mentioned that Dad said X, Y, and Z. I told her I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to respond, and that we would wait to talk to you today. So I'm open to however you want to handle it, but I really value your expertise and I wanted your input. If you want to meet with little Susie and I together, fantastic. We can do, a joint session at the end, or if you want to talk to her one-on-one and work through this, that's great. What you're doing, you're putting that therapist on a pedestal as the expert. You're letting them know that you value their input, their opinion, and you're letting them know that I know I don't have all the answers. Plus, you are hooking them into a situation that is real life, that is happening with your kids, that you truly don't know how to handle. Because again, like so much of this, there is no rule book. And a lot of these toxic individuals will put our kids into situations that are age inappropriate or that they just shouldn't be privy to. I've said to my kids a lot of times over the years during my custody battle, that's an adult topic. I don't have all the answers on that. I'm sorry Dad said that to you, but that's an adult topic, and let Mom deal with the adult issues. Regardless of what the situation is, you have to trust your instincts and you have to be operating from a very, very centered place and a very strategic place so that you can navigate this appropriately for your kids, because they're depending on you to be their voice, they're depending on you to be their rock, and that's your job. And so make sure, side note, that you are in your own therapy to deal with these issues, because there is no rule book. We are all just trying to figure this out as we go, and the system isn't equipped to handle the reality of these situations we face. And so many of them are he said, she said. It's your word against the other parties. And so remember, when you're in this, it's frustrating, it's daunting, but remember that it's an ultra marathon. And most of these toxic individuals, they hit this like it's a 5K or a 10K. And so center yourself, pace yourself. Remember that you have to have marathon mentality when you are going through a custody battle with a narcissist, because that's truly what it takes. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so you get notified every single time we put out a video, and go out there and be the rock that your kids need you to be. Take care.